On Checkpoint, as usual, we have our guest, Ambrose Weda, who's a political analyst, joining us all the way from Kisumu. Ambrose, thank you so much for joining us on Checkpoint this evening. We also have Gabriel Muduma, political analyst as well. Thank you for joining us. And gentlemen, today we have a new face. We are also speaking to Nerima Wako Ojiwa, who's the executive director at Siasa Place. And she specifically comes into this conversation because of the youth aspect of the conversation we are about to have. So by 2022, we will be looking at about, 15 million votes coming in from the youth. And there's always been this conversation about the youth not wanting to be involved in politics. Both Gabriel Muduma and Weda have been in the studio, and both of you have said, look, we need to vote in leaders who will make a difference. Part of the group or part of the team or part of the constituency that will decide how this goes in 2022 is the youth. And I want to begin with you, Weda, from where you sit. And I tweeted earlier on, and I was asking the youth, what will it take to get them involved in politics? And a good number of them say, I mean, we're just not interested. It's not worth it at all. Whether from where you said, why do you think the youth are not really interested in politics?
I don't know. You must have talked to a few, a few ones who are well-fed. They're the ones who tell you we are not interested. The politics in this country is driven by young people. They are the ones who attend rallies. They are the ones who throw stones. They are the ones who cheer up leaders. They are all over. It is only that sometimes due to difficulties in getting IDs, identity cards, some youth go along without registering as voters. But the bulk of politics at any one time in Kenya and even in the world is driven by young people. Obama was voted in by very many young people. Even Biden, even the Jubilee administration was voted in by a lot of young people. So when somebody tells you that, oh, us, we are not interested, we're just talking about, you have talked to a few well-fed youth who are eating well day and night, so they don't know their right hand from their left hand. They don't know because daddy brings in goodies into the home. But the ordinary young man who is looking for a job, who is out in the street, is so concerned about the economy, is so concerned about job creation that they want leaders who can actually make the economy better. So you will see young people in this country driving the next elections. In fact, they'll be there throwing stones, they'll be there cheering leaders, they'll be there running for position, they'll be there winning, some of them. If you look at the leaders who are elected mostly in the Rift Valley, especially under the chief chicken seller, most of them are very young, very young. The Nandi governor is a very young man. So don't talk to the children of the well-fed. Then they tell you, we are not interested because they have data to watch social media 24 hours. There are others outside here who are waiting to vote out some people. They want the election even to be held a few days from today. They are eager and they are serious, and they will also beat up some people if they are not happy with them.
Muduma, what are your thoughts?
Linda, thanks. And karibu sana Nerima Wako, my long-time friend. Where I hope Kisumu is keeping you well. Well, you know, there's something that Weda has said which I'd like to amplify, Linda. And what he has said is he has brought into play the likes of Obama and how, you know, the youth were part and parcel of his election. Remember, Linda, the youth, the collegiate in the U.S. made history. And it's good to remind our youth in this country that they are the trustees of posterity. And as such, they must care about our politics. And not only that, they must also care on a daily basis about the affairs of our politics and where it is heading. You know, and, you know, they must always be reminded about that the politics of the day actually shapes their future. And so they must, you know, get dirty. They must understand the leaders who they need to elect. They must understand that the leaders they bring in are going to shape the policies. They are going, you know, we keep talking about jobs. We keep talking about manufacturing. We keep talking about agriculture. We keep talking about great schools and college and what have you. Those are the leaders that our youth must be able to select. They are the people that our youth must actually be able to find a place and put these leaders in society. And by the way, I agree with what Eddie says. You know, there are some of our youth who currently, I think, Linda, you've Weda has just accused you of talking to some youth who, wala wamekula, wala wameshiba. And, I think the statements coming that they shouldn't hear about politics, I think they are very misguided. The youth must understand that the one thing that has changed history is actually the youth. If you recall, Dr. Martin Luther King, when he died, he was 39 years old. Malcolm X was also, around that age, about 39. And this one just tells you this was, when they died. So you can imagine how old they were when they started their movements. Martin Luther King, when he started the civil rights movement, he was pretty a very young person. So was Malcolm X. Even when Mandela was going to prison, it just goes to tell you, Linda, that if there's anything that is believed to change or to bring about change, is the youth. And the youth of this country must, if they have to be taken serious, they must start by taking themselves serious. And, they must, put, the work where it matters. And they must, focus in changing the landscape of our politics.
Let me bring in Nerima Wako, the Executive Director, Siasa Place. Umesema naongea na wale wamekula na wameshiba. Okay, so I'll bring Nerima into this. She understands the minds of the youth. Nerima, are the youth, do they understand the importance of their involvement in politics and that it shapes their future and it has a direct correlation to the kind of life they want to live, if at all, from where you sit?
Yeah, thanks, Linda. I believe that the youth do. When we look at our neighboring countries, statistically, Kenyan youth engage in politics much, much more than even Tanzania and Uganda. That's already been proven. And so when it even comes to campaigns, I do agree with my fellow colleagues. It's the youth who are managing a lot of these campaigns, from the social media platforms to even being part of the public rallies, to even the organizing and the participation. So they're there. And not only are we just looking at the presidential candidates, look at members of county assembly. Right now, we have 1,400 of them who are below the age of 35 when they went into power. Members of county assembly are also some of the youngest representatives that we have in our country. So not only are the youth engaging in terms of voting, the youth are going for elective seats. That's also a position with a very high turnover. What does that mean? That the youth also look at individuals who are performing or not performing. So when we say, are the youth doing anything? Those are the things that we should look at, and that tells you that, yes, they are. Where a lot of people tend to focus on is the presidential candidacy and the fact that we have the same kind of individuals, and we keep repeating the same individuals and things like that. So from where I sit, there is a sense of fatigue, where when I do engage with some groupings, a lot of youth are not so sure if they're going to participate. But again, it's still too early. We are very last-minute culture people. So if we were to have this conversation closer to August, it's going to change. Youth are going to go and register to vote. But then we're also seeing a high number of young people who are not collecting their voters' card. We saw in Nyanza, they're up to 1 million. That also shows you that why is it so difficult? Why does it have an extra step? Why can't we just attain an ID and be able to vote? Why must you have a voter's card as well? And that's going to be the discussion of the future, because we can't be talking about Huduma number when it comes to democracy and participation. We still have these extra steps, and we're talking about having a one-stop shop for access to services when it comes to government. But in closing, at the end of the day, the way young people engage is very different. As much as not every young person has access to the internet penetration is high. Social media is a huge factor, because again, when it comes to access to information, a lot of youth go to these handles for media stations to be able to get that information. They go to bloggers, they go to influencers, they go to celebrities, they go to politicians. So you find these personal pages competing with mainstream media houses to spread information. So what's going to be a concern? Misinformation, hate speech, fake information, false information, and that's what's going to be driving the political agenda. And a lot of them are going to be more concerned about the economy, but everyone is engaging on the economy. So like Bill Clinton said, it's the economy, stupid.
Okay, let me bring in Weda. Weda, what what do you think will appeal to this constituency? I remember sitting here in the studio with you and you're saying, look, this is a very different constituency. These are not people you start talking about, oh, we did this, we liberated this country. They don't understand people like Pio Gama. They don't understand what Raila, the role Raila has played to where the country is, and several other leaders as well. And I know you speak to a couple of them in your line of duty as well. What do you think will appeal to this constituency?
Linda, these young people are looking for jobs, means of income, and a good life. Good life where you can carry fancy phones with credit inside the phone so that you are able to browse and talk. For now, they are having not so fancy phones, and inside there's only M-Copper. So life is tough for them. Life is difficult. Most people have graduated from universities and colleges. They do not have meaningful forms of employment or income generating access into the economy. So they want leaders who are bringing hope and plans that will be able to give them a better life they're looking for. A yo-yo life where you live well, you eat well, and you do little. That is what they are looking for. They are not looking for who liberated Kenya from who. You tell them about Dedan Kimathi, they tell you who is that. They tell you, when I tell some of them that I was also taken to Nyati House during the Moi's great days, they say, Uliiba nini? They don't want to know those history. They want to know forward. They want to know Twitter. They want to know Facebook. They want to know the jobs. They want to know, even if you say, we Luos, we Kissis, they don't want to know that. They want to know, how are we moving forward? This is what is at the heart of most of these young people you talk to. Because you talk to them, someone say, help me get a job. Help me find something to do. What job do you want? Anything that can make me earn a living. That is what is at the core. Because we are, when it comes to youth employment, we are not doing very well. We are doing badly. When it comes to means of income, the youths do not have much. That is why they also can't run for the elective positions, because these positions are on auction. Some payments have to be done. You have to pay the party leaders, you have to pay the voters, you have to pay yourself all over, you have to pay party owners. Somehow you also have to give people their legs if they visit you. That means you have to put them on motorbikes when they go back. So this is what makes elective positions out of reach of the many young people we have. So if you can tell them how you are going to give them jobs or sell hope, meaningful hope, you'll have a chunk of them.
You can give them hope. All they want is to know how they will survive, which is the way forward for them. Mudhuma, 15 million votes, that is the number of youth that we are probably looking at in 2022. These are individuals that, if they get involved in politics, if they get involved in the decisions that will be made in 2022, then they will change the course of politics in this country. How do we get them involved? And how do we get them to understand that it's for their own good? A couple of the tweets that came in when I asked this, a good number of them were saying, I don't care.
Linda, and I can understand most of our youth are frustrated, and for good reasons. Weda has just talked about employment. There's something probably more I'd like, to engage. And, I'm glad Nerima is here. Probably he can, assist in expounding this, because I've heard so many people talking about whether it is in the sphere of jobs. There's this element of employability. You have youths who, most of them will come and get employment, but they won't keep that job. There's just that element of values. And I think we've done a great disservice to our youth. The reason why I'm saying this, Linda, is because for a very long time, we've had these people who've shown our youth the get-rich-quick schemes, which I believe has helped erode that value. Most of our youth, and remember there was, I remember there was, I don't know which company did that survey and found out that most of our youth are okay with corruption. And that was just unfortunate. And the reason why they would say that is because that value system has not been re-engineered. In other words, you have so many youths, like what I saying, who just want to just be rich one day, as if that wealth will just show up somewhere. The fact that we have not raised the standard of belief and to teach the youth, not only the youth, but many Kenyans, the value of an honest day's work, I think, Linda, that has left us in a very precarious position. You will find so many people who just want to be rich, who just want to be wealthy. You have so many people with wealth that cannot be explained, and our youth are looking after them. Whether you look at politicians, whether you're looking at the people we call celebrities, you know, they are all around us. And the fact that we do not have that machine that assists a youth define or has a culture of honesty, I think it makes our youth really believe that you can wake up one day and grow rich. And you see, in such a space, you will find most of them don't want to think outside the box. And again, this is not primarily with the youth, but many Kenyans. You will find most of them don't want to do honest labor.
Yeah.
You know? And these are some of the issues that have really, you know, rendered our youth to become, in a sense, like I use the word, to lose hope, you know. And so I think we need to re-engineer our value system. We need to teach our youth, these 15 billion people that we are talking about, that if they bring quality and edified leaders, people who have agreed to be held into account, those who have no blemish as far as leadership is concerned, and those that will take their welfare into heart, then I think we can start helping our youth realize that these leaders will come in and shape policy that will affect them directly. I always like reminding people, that's why I keep talking about age. If you look at somebody like J.F. Kennedy, before he was assassinated, I mean, he came to presidency at the age of 43, relatively quite a young person. Bill Clinton was about 46, 47, if I'm not wrong, the same age as Obama. And look at some of the things that these people are able to do. Bill Clinton is remembered of how he re-engineered the American economy. Obama is remembered of how he brought in Obamacare and many other things that brought in the economy. So it is not lost. I think we need to keep talking to our youth, and they need to get in touch with the knowledge of the day, to understand the sophisticates of our century, that most of the things that we are going through, probably they are the ones with the solutions. And that's why I keep insisting. To them, they must understand there is no free lunch. They must get dirty when it comes to electing our leaders. They must go for the very best and nothing but the best.
Okay. Nerima, Ambrose Sweda says, look, the youth just need someone who will give them hope for the future, show them this is the path you need to take. So the voter registration exercise by IEBC will be 1 month long. Again, we're looking at approximately 15 million youth being involved in the 2022 general election. How different do you think IEBC should carry out this exercise, A, to encourage the youth to be part of it? And do you agree that the only thing or the only reason why youth would come out to vote is if there is a sense of hope in the present circumstances?
Politics is the business of selling hope. So I believe that everybody right now is trying to sell hope. It's not about hope. But there are a lot of things that have been mentioned, and I'm trying to break down information where it's doable, because there are a lot of systemic issues that is wrong with youth engagement in this country. Because even for Gabriel to mention all of those people, the thing is, they are in a country where it's good governance and systems that work. What we're working with is a constitution where people are still learning. It's not something that you come in direct contact with unless, like my work, you interact with it every day. So it's left to civil society to go out and educate the public on the direct power of the constitution. So that whole thing, civic education, is something that is struggling in our country. It's not something that youth are engaging with, unfortunately. And I can say that for a fact, because even the political leaders that we have today engaged in campaign politics on campus. on campus. Right now, mobilizing on campus has completely changed because of the Duale Bill of 2016. That changed the way even secretary generals and youth engage these students. They cannot mobilize students directly. And that's why people are like, how come students who used to protest and be so involved in our politics have dissipated? It has a lot to do with the structures that exist. But also, on that fact, we can see when we talk about the church, again, right now the church is now stopping politicians from speaking at the pulpit. We're seeing that happening. And the 90s was a completely different church when it came to the engagement of politics and the type of politics. So the dynamics are very different. But even when we talk about youth engagement, there's the National Youth Council, which is the state organ of the youth voice. But even that council, there's a national youth policy framework. There are different counties that have their own specific county youth policy. There are 5. These county youth policies, me who's in the youth sector, I'm not even sure if they align to the main national youth policy framework. So there's a lot of confusion in the youth space. Okay. Initially, 2 years ago, the youth space was under gender and public service. Now we're under CS Musheru, under IT. A lot of people till today are not sure how that changed almost overnight during a presidential conversation. Actually, it was a press release statement. So I've just given you the breakdown of just the little challenges when it comes to even mainstreaming youth. And the fact that if I'm in a particular county, the youth office can be very different from the neighboring county. So youth engagement is difficult right now. If you want to engage in the youth space, you have to be intentional about it. And another thing you don't know, the National Youth Council is having elections. They've not had elections for almost 6 years. They have not had a board that has functioned since its enactment, since 2012 almost. Wow. And this election might be happening in December. So youth are supposed to be voting twice for representatives from every ward to constituency, to county, to national. It's an election, national, that youth vote, and then they are supposed to vote again in August of 2022. People don't know. So that just shows you the challenges that I deal with every day.
Okay, Nerima, I need to let you go now, but thank you so much for being part of this conversation, youth and politics. People, this is a conversation we have just begun, because we all agree the youth play a critical role in the future of the Republic of Kenya. And we have under a year to go to the next general election. We have to get them involved. We will have more of this conversation. It's just the beginning. Nerima Wakojo, Executive Director, Siasa Place. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us on Checkpoint this evening. So I am left with Ambrose Weda and Gabriel Mudhuma. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. I want us to take a look at something that happened in Mount Kenya. So Mount Kenya Unity Talks in the run-up to next year's general election handed NARC Kenya leader Martha Karua an influential position that steps up her role in President Kenyatta's succession. Now, Karua was unanimously elected as an interim spokesperson by a section of political leaders for the Mount Kenya region in a consultative meeting held in Naivasha. In the same breath, we also saw Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru mentioning that perhaps she would turn her attention to UDA to seek re-election in the 2022 general election. Weda, did you see this coming? Anne Waiguru indicating that perhaps she will work with UDA towards 2022. What does that mean for Jubilee on the ground? And where does that leave Anne Waiguru? And this is why I'm asking this, because in the same Kirinyaga where she wants to be re-elected as the governor, you also have Wangoi Ngirishi, who's also in UDA. Chances from her utterances, she may be heading to UDA. And now you have Martha Karua appointed as spokesperson of this forum. Talk to me about where Anne Waiguru now finds herself.
Linda, thank you so much. Lady Waiguru, I said, is a bad friend of my friend.
You said that, yes, last week, yes.
I'm very reserved when I make comments about her. She's a great lady. But get this. She's the one who said the Kikuyus are this. Anytime she comes up, she's talking about Mount Kenya, Kikuyus, and whatever. And maybe the world is not looking at the Kikuyu. The world here I'm talking about is Kenya. Jubilee seems to be on his deathbed, deliberately killed by some people, and is going to leave orphans. The ground seems to be hostile and leaning, part of it leaning towards UDA. She's trying to be wise to go where she thinks the ground is. Remember, we don't have positions called regional spokespersons. Speaker Justin Muturi was declared the Mount Kenya spokesperson. Now the Iron Lady, Martha Karua, spokesperson. I'm sure Honorable Anne Waiguru should also get some people on her side to declare her spokesperson. Then we will get my brother and age mate Moses Kuria be declared spokesperson. That does not mean much until you have a substantial portion of Wanjiku in your bag following you. If you don't have enough Wanjiku with you, even if you are declared a spokesperson, man or woman 1,000 times, it does not help. In Lowland, we can declare many other people spokesperson, but there's only one Baba. So whether Honorable Martha Karua having been declared spokesperson means much depends on how much support she derives from the ordinary Wanjiku. That is yet to be seen. Honorable Anne Waiguru, I think, wants to be re-elected, and she's playing shadow game with Honorable Martha Karua. If Martha Karua is going left, she wants to go right. But for now, there is a lot of enthusiasm among our supporters leaning towards UDA. In other words, the hustlers are many, and it seems to be flip-flopping. Now, that is understandable on the background that Jubilee is on his deathbed. President Uhuru is not going to run again. And who is going to revive it and put money in it and so on and so forth. Now that the deputy president has bolted, it cannot be told. We do not know whether the speaker, Justin Muturi, will go to Jubilee. He says he will run on a different ticket. So Jubilee as a party may be on a free fall, having lost Kiamba and having seen a lot of difficulties. So I think Madam Anne Waiguru is trying to find a position, a popular position, where she'll be able to defend her seat and face Honorable Martha Karua. Whoever is on UDA, I know that these people, the way they look at the strength, if they find where the strength lies, the UDA candidate now may be told, please wait, we will give you something else, depending on who can win. Because I think the UDA may want to win as many seats as possible. So all this is called jostling, flip-flopping, looking at which side of the bread has more Wanjiku.
You know, Weda, I find that a little bit hard to comprehend. This is why. Anne Waiguru is moving, yes, if at all, she'll move to UDA. And you're saying they look, yes, around and see who is likely to win this seat. You have Kirinyaga woman representative Wangoi Ngireshi, who's always been in UDA, who's walked alongside the deputy president. And now you have Anne Waiguru coming in. And of course, this pits the two of them together. It's going to be a difficult call for UDA.
It is not how long you have been in a party, Linda. It is how many Wanjiku can you mobilize. Do you understand that? If Anne Waiguru has support on the ground, a lot of it, such that people are telling, we love you, but we don't love your party. If she moves to UDA and UDA bigwigs look at it and say she has a better chance of winning this than the lady who has been with the UDA, the lady who has been made cabinet secretary or CS or something. Politics is about looking at many things, and I know that the deputy president is very consummate in strategy. She look at it, and the fact that Anne Waiguru is coming is a big, big statement that they would want to take and say, you see, Even Adwa Guru is with us here. Even Honorable Martha Karua is with us here. So who is remaining? Because the battle is between the chief chicken seller and Baba mainly. And then Honorable Musale Mudavadi is there. And Honorable Kalonzo is there. So they are looking at who is getting the big people entering the party. So a lot will be done also to cajole Honorable Anwar Guru to come. It makes good sense. It makes good politics. Even if you want to roast her, you let her come in, then you roast her within when she's already in. That may be very acceptable if she chooses to come. It will be a celebration if she joins UDA. Wait and see.
Mudhuma, can you hear me? I know I lost you at some point. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Linda.
Okay. So Weda says it will be a big deal if Anwar Guru indeed moves to UDA. But I want to bring you back to now Kenya leader Martha Karua. She was just named the spokesperson of that forum that met this past week. Martha Karua has been at loggerheads, quote unquote, with the Kirinyaga governor Anwar Guru. From where you sit, do you think the position now being given to her as the spokesperson of the forum raises a political profile? And if it does, where does that leave Anwar Guru? And there are those who seem to think and say that perhaps Kirinyaga is one of the counties that we really have to watch in terms of the political jostling.
Well, first of all, Linda, I don't think it will add any much value, primarily because you had just had a few leaders who sat at a restaurant somewhere and decided, you know what, we are making you our spokesman. I mean, so really that doesn't count much on anything. But I think Kirinyaga right now, I don't know why it has become a serious political hotbed where, you have those three ladies, who have become, a point of our national conversation. So when you look, and everybody, I think, is bringing some political weight, if you will, to any party which they may end up joining. So when you look at somebody like the Iron Lady Martha Karua, I mean, her history speaks, for herself. The way her political journey and her political life, speaks for itself. When you look at somebody like Governor Anwar Guru, same thing. I still consider her, to be, a vanguard in the Jubilee government when she came in as the CS devolution. And, look at all the Huduma centers that we talk about. Before that, Saga of NYS came in, I think she was really performing well. When she went in 2017 to run for the governor, you had a governor there who was quite popular, Governor Ndadi. And what happened? Before you could say cut and a half, Minji was in, was in that seat. When you look at Girishi also, I mean, her political life, with UDA, she's really riled up the entire place. So I think what it may boil down to, Linda, I think to me is if they were to join now, Anwar Guru has not said she's joining UDA. She has kinda, insinuated she may go there, but she has not said that in the political terms as of yet. So we have to wait and see on that. We don't know which ticket the Iron Lady Martha Karua will be coming with, but it just tells you the war may actually be between those two, Anwar Guru and Girishi. And if that does happen, then if when it gets time for the nominations, if they are not handled properly in UDA, then I think there's going to be flare-ups, as always. And, it can go either way. But if the nominations are managed, and at this I'm saying if Anwar Guru joins UDA, if the nominations are managed well, and by the way, this is not only for one party, I'm not just primarily focusing on UDA, all parties and coalitions, I think this time round must be able to manage their nominations. And if you do well, it will be a great plus. If not, then you expect so many people to jump ship. But more than that, I think, those two ladies, you need to watch them quite closely. Anwar Guru, like what I have said, brings in some serious relevance in Matters Central at this point. She championed BBI quite well, you may recall, and she also, pushed the president's agenda quite well within the region. And not only that, she's really done quite well as far as Kirinyaga is concerned. Then here you're talking about the roads, the hospitals, the level 5 that you're seeing, the markets, all over. So she's done pretty well. And, and they also say you have some few steps ahead when you're an incumbent. The powers of an incumbent can all be downplayed. Any self-respecting politician does not play the power down, does not downplay the powers of an incumbent. So here she has, she's a few steps ahead of the rest. But that does not mean that if she does not put great strategies to recapture that seat, it does not mean that that seat may not go. The battle in Kirinyaga will be fierce, and we'll just have to sit back and see how everything plays out, Linda.
Whether the meeting that ended up announcing Martha Karua as the spokesperson is just one of the formations in central Kenya, with different leaders trying to have one voice in central Kenya. Remember, we had an exclusive with Anwar Igor saying, look, the only way we're going to get anywhere is if we speak with one voice. This past week as well, the Kirinyaga woman representative Ngirishi is also on record telling the group that met, I mean, you guys get rid of your political parties, let's form one and speak with one voice. That's the only way we will have negotiating power at the table. Allow me to use you as a crystal ball, Weda. What will it take to have Mount Kenya speak in one voice? And if at all they speak in one voice, where do you see that voice headed?
To have that, Mount Kenya has 3 facets. Mount Kenya has Meru, Mount Kenya has Embu, Mount Kenya has the Kikuyu nation. This jostling for spokesman, spokeswoman, spokesperson, all this spoke, is about putting down a possible winning presidential candidate to pick a running mate from the region. And that is good strategy. And when you hear people being named, like Martha Karua, she's just being shoved so that if you are looking for a running mate from the region, think about her. Honorable Anwar Igor is also saying, I'm around here. And then Honorable Justin Muturi, I am here. What it would take for them to speak as one community is to have a strong leader supported by the outgoing president and other leaders.
Do they?
Somebody who can protect the wealthy, the wealth owners. If the wealth owners are happy, it will be one spokesperson. If they are not happy, people will continue. So it will depend with somebody that plays well with either Honorable Raila Odinga or Honorable the Chief Chicken Seller or Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. One of them who is likely to be a running mate.
Wait.
And I think they are looking at the Kikuyu nation, but I would have looked at the Meru nation.
Weda, what does wealth have to do with all this?
Yes.
And I will ask this on behalf of Kenyans watching this particular show.
Oh, Linda, politics is about protection of wealth. It's not about prayer and fasting. Some leaders have no problem anybody leading as long as they'll be safe. Remember John Muchuki said something about wealth and power. Go and look at those tapes. Let's take presidents, for instance, President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He has no problem retiring. But if you will attack his wealth, he will fight tooth and nail to ensure you don't come to power. It is about wealth. When it comes to political power, it's about security. And it is security of the wealth.
Okay. Muzuma?
You are shocked?
I don't know why when the chart chose to go in that direction. But I'll say one thing. I think the clamor for for Mount Kenya to at least have one leader who can speak on behalf of the community, I think is so much welcomed, because, you know, there's something that they've raised over and over again, you know, since 2017. And it was also anchored, you know, in BBI, and that was, you know, the one man, one vote, one shilling. And I've really not heard any politician who has come out to really castigate that formula, because, you know, let's face it, the fact that resources are not well distributed has now become an issue, and this is probably the core thing that you know, the people around Mount Kenya are really, you know, wanting to know. The person who comes in, will he support, he or she, will they support that particular initiative? And if so, when or how can we sit and agree, you know, onto that? I don't want to think much about what Weda is talking about. Well, I don't think that's the point. But more than that, I also think when Weda talks about the number 2 seat or the deputy, you know, president, what Mount Kenya has been saying is that, you know, look, we have the numbers, and we would like our numbers to translate into something. But, you know, if those numbers are going to translate into something politically, what do you have for us? And I think as time go by, if they do not identify that leader who, we know, will be making those bargains on their behalf, then quite soon it may be time barred. And so, you know, I would welcome, and I'm not talking about Mount Kenya alone. I think all of them should sit down and really, you know, focus on what, you know, could we get from the incoming government. And that's politics, by the way. That is politics. But more than that, I think, Linda, if Mount Kenya were to seriously look and support the revolution to the hills, I think it will make more changes than some of the leadership positions that they are looking for. What do they need? You know, is it a good balance in that economic equation? Should that be it? I think that should be more welcome than any position. Good schools, you know, more hospitals, more roads. You know, if there's a balance towards that. Because, you know, education has been a serious thing. When they talk about the bursaries, you know, that has been a conversation that they have been having for quite a long time. So that means that they must engage with somebody who will also realize that their numbers mean something. And it is also focusing on a weighty, you know, contribution as far as, you know, politics of 2022 go. So I think, you know, they need to put their house in order before it's too late. And if they succeed in that, then I think, you know, like when they say, they must find somebody who will be supported seriously by the current head of state, and probably they may get somewhere. But right now, as things are, you are right, Linda. There are so many factions that you do not know, you know, which is which. And I'm just praying they don't go into 2022 the way they've created splinters within the Mount Kenya region.
You know, I love the point where you're saying they have to find someone who has the blessings of President Uhuru Kenyatta. But I want to have a picture of tomorrow's newspaper behind me, because it forms part of this conversation as well. Weda, this is where you come in. So tomorrow's newspaper on the Standard, if I can get that on the screen any time from now, that would be nice. But Weda, it asks, will Kagwe tilt scale in State House race? And I'm picking up from where Mudhuma has left it, that they need to find someone who has the blessings of President Uhuru Kenyatta. And tomorrow's paper looks at Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe. So the paper says we can today reveal that there are efforts to have Health CS run for president in the next poll, with Uhuru ending his final term and everyone jostling to have a piece of the pie. What impact will a Kagwe bid have? Weda, what impact, if at all? Could you have the newspaper,
Kagwe
please?
was given the health docket.
Weda, go on.
Yes. Kagwe was given the health docket. He started very well and has done a wonderful job. But during his tenure, some equipment, health equipment for the workers disappeared. Vaccines and donations disappeared. He will have to be cleansed on that. Time is so short for cleansing. So he will hardly fare well, even if the president was to come full throttle behind him.
What are the chances of health CS Mutahi Kagwe? And I'm asking you this because right now we all know that there may not be a presidential flag bearer from the central Kenya region. Mutahi Kagwe has been the CS Health, and there are those who seem to think that perhaps his political profile has gone a little bit up. Do you think it will make a difference?
You're talking to me?
No, Muduma.
Oh, it's me.
Muduma, surely.
Who's supposed to go? Whether it's me, it's not you. You just answer. Linda, I think that question was done for me. I think, you know, in the Kikuyu tradition, if you look at how leadership has come down, there is that element of, you know, passing on. It may not be for a political seat, but there's just that tradition that, you know, leadership may actually be passed on from one person to the other, and it's just symbolic. It may not be, you know, that huge thing in other communities, but actually in the Mugikuyu nation is actually a huge thing. So that's why you hear people talking about the blessing. So it's always great. It's always good. You know, whether you're looking at it from a traditional point of view, that you get the blessing of the current leader. Now I've seen so many people, you know, create a lot of buzz about, you know, this word that they are using, lame duck. It may apply somewhere else, but I don't think it will apply in Mount Kenya region. President Uhuru will still have a lot of relevance as far as who becomes the next leader of Mount Kenya. Just the same way he was chosen, you know, to lead or to be the voice of Mount Kenya in 2013. So I think many people need to be alive to that traditional fact. Moving out of that, I think I wouldn't, you know, I would say like whether, you know, Mutahi Kagwe started out very well, and I think he's doing still okay. But when it comes deep core, things may change a little bit. And this is because many people will tell you he is not on the ground. I mean, you know, the CS position requires you to go all over the country. And if you are not within reach with in Mount Kenya, then people have always, you know, talked about you losing the ground. Now, that may be true or false, but there is still that element of people saying, you know, you are not on the ground. So I think he may also get, and this is what I think, he may get a lot of resistance from within his region than without. So, and this is primarily because there are people who have been on the ground far longer than him. Like when you look at the likes of, you know, somebody like Governor Igoro, or, you know, people like Speaker Muturi, they seem to have gotten a grasp of the ground of how things are going. And so you may find people calling him a Johnny come lately. Is that true? Maybe not, but the politics and the propaganda that we expect coming out of Mount Kenya may surprise all of us, Linda.
Weda, the person on the newspaper, perhaps you could go just a little bit up there. I want to focus on Baringo Senator Gideon Moi, Kanu chairman. So he was endorsed at his home, that is his rural home in Sacho, where clergy and elders backed him for a national office, saying he has demonstrated capacity to lead Kenya. Whether this is where you come into this conversation, yeah, there we go, it's on your screen. So there's a delegates meeting that's happening on the 30th of September, I believe, at the Bomas of Kenya. Whether looking at Gideon Moi and looking at Kanu, would you say they have made stride under a year to the general election, reviving the party, and their talks of perhaps announcing a presidential candidate on the 30th of September? Which way, Kanu, from where you sit?
Linda, the head of Kanu, Dr. Kipsile Gideon, has remained a good man, a good guy. Few enemies or no enemies at all, non-controversial, focused, and a shrewd businessman, a very good man. But he has not graduated in the politics. Along the way, he has to learn to let money flow freely like the mighty waters of River Nile. That he has to learn. A good businessman, but money does not easily flow. Secondly, he has to move out, move into other regions, keep going. So they have not sold KANU and they have not rebranded KANU. If KANU is not rebranded, there are regions where when you say KANU, they want to go under the bed. So he has to do a bit of rebranding of KANU. He has to do a bit of mobilization. He has also to let money also flow. Otherwise, if he was to bring his good nature into the table, it is generally acceptable across the ranks, either as a running mate or as a friend, but he has allowed his brother, Sir William Arap Ruto, the chief chicken seller, to run away with the majority of the Wanjikus in this region. But age is on his side, money is in his pockets, he has a good name, he has so much, all he needs to do is to rebrand, then he will be a force.
Rebrand as an individual or rebrand as a party?
Rebrand as an individual. It may even entail abandoning KANU. There is no value in just KANU. You can change the name, you can change the colors, you can change the jogo into an eagle. The rebranding now requires a lot of energy and strategy going in. Okay. The advantage they have, Hon Gideon is a good man. He's generally a good man. You can't just pinpoint something where you say, I have a bone to pick with him. That is a strong space to start from. But he's stuck on the jogo. Okay. That if you tell him we may have to roast the jogo for the visitors and serve something else, he may find it difficult. But now that His Excellency Mzemwe has rested, he can easily rebrand the jogo without necessarily looking behind to see whether Mzee will quarrel. He has a chance, he has a space. All he needs is to rebrand and then connect with the right people.
Okay. Mudhuma, you get the final word? Gideon Moi, KANU, the future of KANU?
Did I want to just say that Senator Gideon can rebrand the jogo to an eagle? I don't think that's good. But anyway, Linda, honestly, I think to an element whether he's right about the rebranding, but I still think KANU, where we left it, I think it's still a great party that brought most of our leaders today. All of us, all of them, really, if you look, most of them were in KANU. And, if KANU was to rebrand and call back all the sons and daughters, I think we would not have any party in Kenya. Having said that, I think when you want to rebrand a party, it will take time and, it may take quite a lot of resources. But remember, KANU had many offices all over. I think if you're looking at a party that had a serious footprint, a national footprint, it was KANU. You would find a KANU office, and so if they were to revive that particular, infrastructure, then I think, KANU can be a party to be, to be reckoned with. And, it can enter into a coalition with any other big party and form government. So we are heading into a season, Linda, we are heading into a season of making deals. This is our politics. This is the Kenyan politics as we've come to know it. When it gets to this season, people talk about MOUs, they talk about coming together, they talk about making coalitions. Let's face it. I don't think you have a single party which can claim immunity and say they can go it alone. UDA is trying to do it, but you can see it is receiving quite a lot of backlash, from the likes of people like Moses Kuria and others who say, if we are to join, we are going to come with our individual parties. And sometimes it is good, sometimes it's healthy to just allow, parties to thrive as long as, they don't become those small mums and paps, parties that don't have any manifesto, parties that don't have, a common belief, a vision, and what have you. Okay. So it's good, and then it's also good, Linda, for a democratic space for these small parties to thrive and enter into coalitions. It's the democratic space that the Constitution has provided. Having said that, I think, Gideon as a person, he's also a great person. He does not have a lot of, as they say, a lot of political skeletons. Okay. But, he just needs to reinvent himself and, go for whatever position he wants. And remember, Linda, what I told you, before it begins, any and every person has a mathematical chance of getting this coveted seat of the presidency. Great,
Muthuma. That's a good place to end this conversation. Thank you so much for your time, for being part of Checkpoint this evening. Gabriel Muthuma, Ambrose Weda, both political analysts, thank you so much for joining us on Checkpoint this evening. Allow me to also say a very big thank you to Nerima Wako Ojiwa, Executive Director, Siasa Place, who agreed to be part of the conversation on youth and politics. So, gentlemen, I'll let you go for now. But it's important to also just engage Kenyans for a minute. I'd asked Kenyan youth to tell me what it would take to get involved in politics and shape their future. So David Gare says, we need to be smarter than ever before and read the history of our country. We need to understand our past for us to make good decisions. Steve Mutua says, we're actively involved. What varies is our interest with each political level. Okay, Steve Otaita says, my voice will be heard through the voting process. Itakuwa loud or low-key depending on other voters' voices. Claudio Cheno says, let the political gods leave these youth positions alone without cable controlling them. If that happens, by the way, youth can even make presidency as we speak. Okay. Finally, Vladimir Rov says the youth are very much involved. Okay, that is not going to work on air. But people, thank you so much for tweeting, for being part of this conversation. Let's keep this conversation alive. We did mention 15 million youth will determine who becomes president in 2022. Have your voice heard. Yeah? Be part of that conversation. Have a good night. I'm Linda Ogutu. We'll see you next week.